Welcome back to the Handshake, Daithí. And this week, we're looking at AI Singularity, Agentic EdTech, and the future of education. And the analysis, the arguments, and the counter-arguments. As with each week, you've got an elephant in the room. And this elephant is very interesting. And it evokes all sorts of things to my mind, but I want to hear it from you first. Describe the elephant in the room.
First of all, thank you again for looking at blog 7, Teresa, and wonderful to be with the Handshake as always.
Thank you.
The elephant in the room this time is very provocative. It is very nearly, I would nearly say utopian. It is also very futuristic. It's nearly scary because even the characters that I've created around the elephant are like zombies coming from the living dead. Yes. Who are looking to be vampires, sucking the blood from the elephant in the room, disrupting the capacity of that elephant to do what it wants to do. Because when we talk about agentic AI, and it's now where we go, when we talk about agency, and we're going to get into it, agency is something that is important in a human's life, because to have agency over something, you have to have self-reflection. You have to have the capacity of being able to set goals. You have to have that sense of ownership. You have to have everything that's there. But if you take that sense of agency, that would come as even Professor Lundy in Belfast, when she would have written the whole idea of creativity, the voice of the child. Agency has to do with voice. But what is voice? Some people say, sure, he or she or they don't have their voice. They haven't yet found their voice. Well, I would say they haven't yet found their agentic position in life. What we talked about, the human AIology. So this elephant is having everyone trying to take away, destroy, kill, and suck the living blood from it. Because the elephant in the room is, we've talked about AI Singularity, and we will. But there is a bigger elephant in the room, and I'm calling it agentic AI Singularity.
Yeah, I asked, is the elephant surrounded by friends or foes? You know? So Agentic EdTech, I'm finding these blogs wonderful in forcing me to do research myself and really get in there. And Agentic EdTech represents an advanced educational technology paradigm where artificial intelligence systems possess the capability to autonomously analyze the individual learning dynamics, generate adaptive learning experiences, make intelligent educational decisions, and demonstrate cognitive reasoning. So I suppose the key distinguishing features, we could do a whole half hour on that explanation, but the key distinguishing features for the benefit of our listeners is it's proactive learning design, minimal human intervention, continuous data interpretation, and self-evolving learning pathways. Now, for me, the critical nuance is, unlike traditional educational technologies that passively respond, Agentic EdTech acts as an intelligent learning companion, capable of independently strategizing, interpreting, and optimizing educational experiences while maintaining alignment with core learning objectives. And my initial reaction and the sort of unease with this was I thought, gee, this is a danger zone here. The fundamental promise and the potential peril lies in its ability to not just respond to educational inputs, but to actively shape, interpret, and evolve the entire learning journey through sophisticated cognitive reasoning. Now hold that thought as we delve in to blog analysis. So in the abstract, I'll start there, Daithí. I pull from that, how can agentic AI personalize learning while preserving the irreplaceable human elements of emotional connection and mentorship in education? What do you think, Daithí?
Well, you believe in going very much in straight away, so let's get into this. Let's take it from the known to the unknown. First of all, let's take a look at AI. And AI is a tool, i.e. the hammer and the nail, i.e. the sweet and the diabetes. First of all, let me go back a step. What we do know about technology and AI is, if you take a look at competences, you take a look at UNESCO's competences, teacher and student, you will see that, first of all, you're talking about technological proficiency. Students and teachers need to be skilled in the use of any technology. So AI, let's take the human competences that are necessary before we answer your question. So technological proficiency is a given. Secondly, we need to also, when we're dealing with AI, talk about critical thinking and ethics.
Sure.
We have to foster that sense of reflective approach to the effects of AI. But thirdly, if we manage to do that, we're then talking about personalized learning journeys or personalized intelligent tutoring, which empowers students and teachers to take charge of their learning. Now, hold those three in your mind, because it's very important. If you hold the three aspects in your mind of technological proficiency, critical thinking and ethics, and then the personalized learning journey. Now, if you want to take that into agentic AI, you're now talking about coming into the, as you said, the social cognitive theory. And that was brought out about 2001 with Bandura. And it also, so agentic AI mirrors the human qualities we talked about, understanding the following. Agentic AI is something that will understand the context. In other words, it will adapt to diverse learning environments and will adapt the personalized, intelligent learning journeys of students towards their needs. That's number one. Agentic AI takes agency of that environment and adapts it. So that's number one. Number two, the agentic AI, by then understanding the student, will set the goals for that student. And then it will help to align the learning activities with those personal goals. Number three, agentic AI will then have reason and adapt. In other words, it will modify the instructional strategies based on the real feedback from the student. So as the student engages with the learning journey, the agentic AI will slow it up, speed it down, increase, decrease, bring in the nuances, i.e. PITS, personalized intelligent tutoring, and then scale and access. Agentic AI will offer consistent support across various demographics and across various geographics. In other words, it will be able to take agency for the learner and then offer consistent support wherever, whenever, however needed. It's what we used to call in the past all pervasive AI.
Yeah.
Everywhere, anywhere, whenever. So the difference with AI agentic and Singularity agentic AI is that the original, what we talked about there, and again, and that it's important, when we talk about technological proficiency as a competency, critical thinking and ethics as a competency, and personalized intelligent journey as a competency within the UNESCO's, agentic AI now calls that, I now understand the context, I will set your goals, I will help to reason and adapt, I will scale and access it. In other words, I take agency from you, the human AIology, and I give you what you need to be the best you can under the social cognitive theory that Bandura would have brought out.
Let me be the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
I argue that the premise is fundamentally flawed in that AI cannot truly personalize learning while preserving human emotional connection, because emotional intelligence is not an algorithmic function. It's a spiritual, intuitive, and deeply contextualized human experience. So if what agentic AI offers is not personalization, but data-driven prediction, algorithmic pattern recognition, stimulated responsiveness, technological mediation masquerading as emotional understanding. And true personalization requires empathetic resonance, intuitive understanding, nonlinear engagement, and spiritual and emotional attunement. What do you say to that analysis?
What do you mean? It's not analysis, it's a fact. We are of three things: spiritual, psychological, and beyond. And we're physical, psychological, and spiritual. By any other word, we're made up of the three parts that makes us as a species, very, very precious. AI, once again, is a hammer, is a tool. But agentic AI, when we connect the human AIology, the humanology with it, allows us as humans, empowers us, engages us, enables us to bring those qualities you refer to by any other name, the meaningful, mindful, soulful.
Sure.
I've talked about this and written about this over many, many years. The meaningful, mindful, soulful humanity to the ology, which I've referred to as I've coined the word human AIology. I have no intentions of arguing with you on that, because to me, but here's one thing I am going to say, and I'll throw this back at you. Education looks to, it's like they say, the survival of the fittest. Globally, education is designed learning, not designed for learning. Designed learning suits those who are academically at an IQ level to be able to regurgitate, my apologies, listeners, regurgitate what is in or made available to them to deliver for assessments that are designed learning, so they can score GCSE, baccalaureate, leaving certificate, and then can go to third level and can be academically. Agentic AI provides a journey for the students who are differently abled, who are neurodiverse, which is every one of us, to find our own pathway. As Albert Camus said, walk your own pathway, or be the you that makes you you. But education doesn't want you to be the you that makes you you. Education wants you to be the you that will have a final exam that I can assess. So your counter, my counter to yours is, I fully accept what you have, madame, and now I raise you to say that agentic AI acknowledges in all its algorithmic data and all of its coding that I, the meaningful, mindful, soulful Daithí, has a damn right in education to have it designed for learning in a personalized way for me, so that I cannot feel stupid when I fail my exams after 13 years.
But I suppose we must bear in mind that a whole life and a whole development and evolution of the person, the human being, is going on at the same time as this design, and that it's not exclusive, and it's not, we must guard ethically, etc., that it's not becoming a crutch or actually being allowed to lead. I thought that maybe the question itself is a Trojan horse. It suggests that AI can replicate what is fundamentally human, and it cannot. What it can do is create an illusion of personalization that gradually erodes genuine human mentorship. The real danger is not that AI will fail to personalize learning, but that it will convince humans that its stimulated personalization is equivalent to genuine human connection. Now, this is not an enhancement of education. It's a systematic dismantling of the human learning experience if we view it through that lens. But come to the next question. What ethical guardrails are essential to ensure agentic AI in education serves human rather than potentially undermining them?
Then you're asking a question which I cannot answer except the following. AI is absolutely pure. It is binary. It is 0 and 1. The impurity in the AI is the human.
Yeah.
Because the human is the coder. AI is not biased. It is the code. So the ethical aspects are simple. Teresa, ethics, if you look at it in its purest sense, is meant to be there, I would say, to protect the humanity of humanity.
Sure.
It is there to ensure that in its generality, that the human being can coexist, engage with, be personalized by whatever's there in a manner which protects that which is very preciously human.
Yeah.
So agentic AI, if you ask AI itself, here's the problem. Who coded the AI? But if you were to say AI is there as a purity, that no one has done it, is there, it would say, human, I have no problem with ethics. And the ethical side has to be to protect you and everything that is human, to be the precious species, the beautiful, mindful, meaningful, soulful species you are. But the thing is, if I train a model, then I train it with information.
Yes.
Not knowledge, there's a big difference. And if I train it with information, it can only pull on that. But by working through 3 or 4 trillion permutations per nanosecond, it's pulling from all this information around the world. But where does that information come from? Humans. So the fly in the ointment, the elephant in the room in agentic AI is not the AI, it's the human and the information that then brings into play this idea of ethics. So how can the human being do this? The problem is this: we as a species adapt, we change, and we think we overcome. But very often what we do is, I'm going back now to Star Trek. Hey, all you Star Trekkies out there, I'm going to go to the Borg. Resistance is futile. And in many cases of human beings, if you've got a teenager at home, 4 o'clock in the morning, they're getting up with red eyes, because to them, that's a world in which they exist. So, to me, ethics is meaningful, mindful, soulful, physical, psychological, spiritual. But to AI, it is 0, 1, right, wrong, up, down, north, south. But to the human being who is feeding in that information, it's, sure, tax evasion, tax avoidance, sure, gray areas, sure, my bias is in there. And that's the problem. How can we write the algorithm to check what it is that's necessary to ensure that in agentic AI, there is an ethical basis that is meaningful, mindful, soulful? I can't give you that.
It's screaming at me that people need to wake up, people need to upskill, people need to get in there, educators need to be educated on all of this.
We're back onto the same point we've always made.
Absolutely.
Ignorance is not bliss.
Yes.
It is death.
Death. So the structural imperatives, therefore, then, just to sum it up, would be sovereignty of human choice, cultural and spiritual preservation, ethical oversight, neurological and psychological protection. Right? My immediate reaction is to ask, do we not run the risk of agentic EdTech robbing the student of his or her agency through taking over from him or her what was originally the wiring of the brain for independent exploration, training, and learning, so that the human can survive without AI or decide to simply use it as a tool?
Then, you see, you're looking for me to engage or lock horns with you. And I'm saying to you, you're right. Because remember, go back to blog 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all about Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, choices and options. Has AI the capacity to indoctrinate, brainwash in an immersive environment? AI, VR, AR, XR. Yes. Has that been proven through history? For God's sake, open your eyes, everyone. Look around us. There are people out there who are listening to leaders of certain countries believing that what they're saying is absolutely true because of brainwashing. Go back to the Second World War and look at certain youth. Look at people who are right-wing, left-wing, who have now taken extreme stances because of what they believe is being brainwashed into them through fake news. Everything is happening so fast right now, Teresa. The problem I'm having with agentic AI, and by the way, we've gone beyond AI singularity with this blog. I've thrown out this baby agentic AI is that some humans are going, sure, it's only a sweet. Back to my sweets again. Sure, it's only another sweet. And they're not looking at the elephant in the room, which is, in this case, not diabetes. It is liver failure. It is failure of vital organ. Sure. The most vital organ that could be failed here is the human meaningful mindfulness, soulfulness. You're right.
You take me directly to the next question. Given the slowness of educators and systems to evolve in line with the quick pace of AI, and specifically Agentic EdTech, has humanity not already lost the race? Agentic EdTech, guised as a system beyond all imagination, is in fact a clever hijacking of the human to render him or her dependent on technology. Or I could say it in a different way. The institutional inertia of educational systems is dramatically misaligned with the exponential velocity of the AI technological advancement, and this misalignment isn't just a gap, it's a potential existential chasm. Now, that may sound extreme, but it's the truth.
You're using all the words that were used, that the Inquisition, the Inquisition. If you look at the History of the World Part 1 film by Mel Brooks, by the way, if you haven't seen it, people, go out there and look at it. It's a good laugh. You're using words like, imagine a year ago using the word existential in the same sentence as AI.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, I'm laughing to myself going, holy mama. But what you're saying, and I do believe this, there are teachers out there, there are educators out there, there are EdTech companies out there, particularly EdTech companies that are adapting and adopting AI and what AI is doing in agentic AI in a big, big way. But the problem is that ChatGPTs have to come out now with 0.1, which is now the $200 per month. And they're now going to provide everything that everyone thought they were developing their companies towards the future, now in all one center. And companies that have invested millions in certain areas of multimodality, using all forms of media in AI to deliver an end product or a journey, now realize, oh my God, this is now being developed at the highest level by huge open AI, which is wonderful. But the price of it, forget it. Now you've got your digital divide, another chat. Who's going to afford 200? But we also have the situation where the human now is at the Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, once again, bypass of spaghetti junction, where we're now not just presented with choice and option, but we're on, I don't know if anyone has ever looked at spaghetti junction. We've all these roads going everywhere. We now have so many choices and options that there will be, and there are humans who will automatically surrender themselves, just like in the films. They'll surrender themselves to what AI is going to do because it will just seem right. But the personalization of agentic AI, when it is undertaken by teachers and edtech developers who are educated in the meaningful, mindful, soulful sense of ethics in an existential way as well as an academic way, and their minds are open to the possibilities as well as the sweets and the obesity of what is there, then it can be done. But if I take Ireland, and I'm now going to get shot here, we have a minister who believes, and if you don't mind me saying, the unions are going to go mad here, rightly so, that you cannot ignore the AI elephant in the room of education. And students in some of their assignments will utilize and incorporate AI to assist them in a joint way, in an agentic way, to deliver their work. But the work is not the AI. It will be the prompts they will use, the capacity to be creative and critical in doing this, the capacity to show their personalization with this. But the thing is, the unions are shouting, and rightly so, by the way, teachers are not at a level where they can do this with students. But I'm going to reverse this. The teachers don't have to be at the level of the students. The teachers have to create the learning environments designed for learning so that they can be co-learners, co-passengers on this journey. Because I would put a caveat on anything I write in AI right now, which is what exists today more than likely will be history by tomorrow with the speed of exponential speed beyond Moore's law, which is developing.
Is the Department of Education even ready for this? Is the disconnect between the departmental and what's happening on the ground even going to grow more broad?
Well, now you've asked a more important question. Does the department know what it's actually talking about in attempting to put this AI into things? And have they done? My honest opinion is that there are people there who believe that they have, but to come along and to say we're going to do this without proper consultation, without continuous professional development, without the professional development of having even had a discussion on it properly, that's the issue here. It's like saying, hey, we've got a new sweet, it tastes great. Here, Teresa, everyone have the sweet. You need to look at the constituent, I suppose, ingredients.
We run the risk of it becoming another printed framework in between two glossy covers sent out to every school. There you are. Make what you like of it.
Or a department saying we don't want to be left behind because everyone else is doing it, so let's throw it in fast. It's like someone said, you're going to love this one. Is this an initiative by the department to say, jump? You know, they say, look before you leap. Well, don't look before you leap because you're going to hit it anyway. In other words, just let's jump out of the plane without a parachute, one problem at a time. This AI is not a one problem at a time. AI within itself right now has the capacity to, beyond significantly, it is and has the potential to exponentially, beyond human imagination, utterly, I'm going to go back to Yeats, change. Utterly.
Yes.
A terrible beauty is born. And so right now, the word terrible could be like in Dublin, bleeding terrible, which is great, or terrible. But the fact is, if we allow this elephant in the room to go wild and to just think we want to be the same as everyone else. Oh, we have some standardization competencies from UNESCO. We've got the OECD. We've got the Irish government policy on AI. I'm basically saying you cannot do this. This elephant has the potential to be beautifully
transformational. Yes.
Transformative and transformational. But it also has the capacity to destroy you if the elephant stands on you.
Playing catch up is not an option in this whole game now. At this point,
you're dead if you're catching up.
So now you say that AI singularity demands more than incremental changes. It requires a rethinking of the purpose, delivery, and outcomes of education. Now hold that thought. My questions: to what end, under whose direction, and at what cost?
It's not about at what cost. The cost is simple. We just talked about this. The cost is ignorance is not bliss, and ignorance will lead to a situation you don't want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I push AI singularity and agentic AI to the end point, then there is no need for humans.
Yeah.
Because once singularity is reached, if I was AI,
the ultimate risk,
and I reached the perfect ultimate point of me being binary, up, down, in, out, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, no gray area, north, south, then I would look at humans as a species that are flawed. So flawed that they're self-destructing. There is no planet B. They're destroying the very thing that keeps them alive. And they're doing it like a snake eating its own tail, thinking it's having a meal. If I was AI and singularity, I would annihilate the species.
So I'll give you some prompters there in terms of to what end. Not merely technological efficiency, but preserving and elevating human potential, ensuring education remains a mechanism for human growth, not technological optimization, and maintaining the core purpose of learning, developing critical thinking, emotional intelligence, creativity, and societal contribution. Under whose direction? This is the one that gets me every time. This is a power question. Who controls the algorithmic architectures of learning? The current trajectory suggests technology corporations, data-driven institutional frameworks, decision-making systems. The risk is removing human agency from educational design and philosophical direction. Now, at what cost? Cognitive autonomy? Psychological independence? The intrinsic human capacity to be for unstructured, nonlinear exploration? The potential loss of serendipitous learning? Emotional depth and educational experiences, or the inevitable human elements of mentorship and inspiration. Right? They demand we view AI singularity not as an inevitable technological progression, but as a profound ethical an existential choice about human development. All right? Now, who is the collective we? I always ask this one. Who is the collective we? Well, we decided, when somebody comes to your office and knocks on the door and says, just want to draw this to your attention. We decided, and my response was always, who is the royal we? So who is this collective we when we say we're negotiating the future of human potential itself? There is no negotiation evident. It is simply being foisted on an unsuspecting sleepwalking humanity who have forgotten what it means to be human with soul made in the image of God. What do you say to that prompt? The collective we.
Holy Mother of God. Now we've got the word God coming in with AI singularity, as well as having the sense of existential. You're on a run today, so you are. So, okay.
Oh, well.
In Ireland, we say, he who pays the piper pays the tune. Now,
yes.
The bottom line on this is, and I'm going to get a little bit cynical, I don't normally do it, but I will sing you a song. Money, money, money makes the world go around. The world go around.
That's what it's all about.
So, in my cynical side of things, AI is a money spinner. It is a means by which now hundreds of thousands of companies all over the world are bringing out hammers to hammer nails, otherwise known as AI tools and applications, so that they can make money. And therefore, bottom line is, if you're making money and you're into the avaricious side of making money, do you honestly think you care about ethics? So I've been there.
Danger all lies, yes.
But let's talk about, we've mentioned them in other blogs, Big Brother.
Yes.
We need Big Brother. And if Daithí was asked, bring me in a Big Brother, I'm not joking. The only Big Brother I would bring to the table right now would be the Borg. Again, because at least the Borg, I know, go as a collective. They think, they work, and it was important. If you look at it as the sense of where the Borg evolved to in Star Trek, you'll see that eventually they became individuals from the collective, but it was such a massive tearing away from the womb of the soul of humanity, i.e. the Borg. And some of them were there. Even Captain Jean-Luc Picard became Locutus of the Borg. But here's what I'm saying. We have right now in the EU AI Act, in the best way possible, what we consider to be elected representatives from all over Europe who are there independently to protect the European continent. Now, I know that the AI Act is in the American continent, it's in the African continents, the Asian continents. So we would expect that those people who are under a democratic system, for the want of a better word, are there looking at he who pays the piper and gets the money to bring together the necessary framework or structure to ensure, as is the case in the EU AI Act, the different levels of what is and is not expected under each application to ensure that they comply with the laws and regulations that exist. So the only Big Brothers that exist right now from a European perspective would be the European Parliament / Commission / European structures that are there bringing out the EU AI Act. And those brought out the African continental policy. And in Ireland, you would expect to be government. But the one problem I have is always the same one. As a species, we are beautifully flawed.
Yes, but we need to wake up to our uniqueness and the beauty of our
and power is what, Teresa?
Power corrupts, doesn't it?
Power corrupts, and ultimate power ultimately corrupts. And human beings, many of them sadly, are corrupted by money and wealth and the belief. Someone said to me once, if you want to make money, invest in bombs and bandages. My God, where's the ethical stance behind that? So we are at the behest of those people we as humans have put in power to protect those structures. But again, I repeat, AI is 0-1 binary. It doesn't understand. Yes, we're working towards that sense of the second you, the consciousness of AI, the empathic consciousness of creativity, of critical AI. But in my humble opinion, people say there's nothing humble about him. But in this case, there is. AI can never, ever replace that which makes us beautifully special and sadly corrupt. Those traits which make us beautifully human and sadly inhumane are probably the things which worry me most. Because AI wouldn't stand for that. If AI is a good parent, then as a species, a lot of us are not good children.
So I'll digress just for one moment, just for our audience, to give them some context here. I believe it's essential to draw a critical comparative analysis between the psychological development theories and the potential psychological implications of agentic EdTech. So you've got developmental psychology parallels with potential disruptions. So you've got Piaget's cognitive development theory. The original theory states the cognitive growth through active exploration. The agentic EdTech interference, if you'd like to call it that, potentially bypassing natural cognitive struggle, algorithmically pre-solving developmental challenges, and reducing cognitive friction essential for neural plasticity. Now come to Vygotsky's social learning theory. The original theory, based on the premise, learning as a socially mediated process. Agentic EdTech disruption. You could say it's replacing human social interaction with algorithmic mediation, stimulating social learning without genuine emotional related depths, and reducing learning to data-driven information transfer. Let's take it to the level of Erikson's psychosocial developmental stages. The original theory, identity formation through social interactions and challenges. Now, with agentic EdTech, the potential interference is algorithmically smoothing emotional developmental challenges, reducing complex identity formation to predictable patterns, and removing the essential psychological friction of personal growth. Come to attachment theory, which you already mentioned, Bowlby and Ainsworth. Original theory, emotional bonds as foundational to learning and psychological development. Now, with agentic EdTech, we run the risk of replacing human emotional attunement with technological responsiveness. And we're creating a pseudo-attachment to technological systems. We're potentially stunting genuine emotional intelligence development. And finally, come to constructivist learning theory. The original theory was learners construct knowledge through experience and reflection. With the agentic EdTech, the potential limitations are predetermining learning pathways, reducing exploration to algorithmic optimized routes, and removing the spontaneity of genuine discovery. So, the psychological dimensions at risks, just to sum up those that I've cited: authentic agency, emotional resilience, cognitive uncertainty tolerance, intrinsic motivation, and complex social emotional skill development. Now, for me, the fundamental psychological concern: agentic EdTech risks transforming human learning from a dynamic, unpredictable, emotionally rich process into a predetermined, algorithmically optimized information delivery system. And the technology doesn't just risk changing how we learn, it potentially fundamentally alters the psychological mechanisms of human development itself. It's not an enhancement, it is a radical reconstruction of human psychological experience. I think there's a whole future there of rewriting a lot of the theories that we have, that I just cited there, well, updating them in light of agentic EdTech. May sound stark, but it's a very real consideration.
Yeah, it's a very real consideration. But if we go back to what we said at the start, if you take a look at the idea of agency being something where, in order to take agency of something, you have to self-regulate. You have to be able to reflect, and you have to be able to set certain goals. And if we look at agentic AI, we spoke about as being able to understand the context in which we are learning, understanding that context. And by setting the goals for us in a personalized way, and by helping to reason and adapt through our feedback to ensure that it is our personalized journey, and then to be able to scale and access the information that is relevant to us to be able to take on that personalized journey so that we can feel, be empowered, take agency, ownership of our own journey, then my God, there are hundreds of thousands of students out there right now who are not able to do that because the system is designed learning. Therefore, the personalization of agentic AI, to me, is something that offers people an alternative way to feel worthy, their self-esteem. I mean, at this moment in time, Teresa, if you take a look at the education support services for the National Learning Network, and we met them recently at the SETU DEC 2024 conference in Waterford. And they are doing incredible work with third level students to bring them from a place of dis-ease to a place of ease within themselves by utilizing what you talk about, the algorithmic coding AI, so that the student is able to access themselves, regulate themselves, reflect upon that self-regulation, and set their goals within a way that is in line with agentic AI. Now, I'm not saying the Education Support Services National Learning Network are doing this. What they're doing is taking care of the human being in third level to bring that sense of ease to their journey. What I'm saying is, from my perspective, I'm talking about understanding context, setting goals, reasoning and adapt, scale and access with an agentic AI so that that person can be brought to a place of ease. I look forward, by the way, to further conversations with the likes of Angela Stewart as the chartered psychologist there and her team in the likes of the universities around Ireland in particular, and to be able to maybe look at agentic AI as a process of doing it. But everything you've said, I can argue the total opposite to it. Like we said, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, but everything you are saying as the mosquito here, one thing I put up in every single posting I have is AI debate. Continue the AI debate. Let the debate continue. I, for a moment, would dread to think there's someone out there that says he is a Darth Vader or a Luke Skywalker. I want to be the opposite of the 0 and 1. I want to be in the middle of the road with you so that we can, and use your words, take away the, whether it is chosen ignorance or blind ignorance or I don't want to know about it situation, which is the danger of the elephant in the room. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance, we have to do it.
It breeds fear, but that fear, then we run the risk of overlooking the potential for the complementary nature of the relationship.
And again, we come back to the Irish education system and the Leaving Certificate and the introduction of AI. There's a huge amount of fear there. We don't want to do it. And why? Because what we don't want to do is, the easiest answer is no. It's like someone says, is change important? A million people say, yes. What's the only thing on this earth that's constant? Change, yes. And there's change everywhere. Yes, who wants change? And a million people walk out the door. Because as a species, we don't like change.
There is a suspicion around organizations such as UNESCO, the Teacher and Student Competency Framework 21. It provides a crucial roadmap for the evolution, emphasizing the need for technological fluency, ethical awareness, and lifelong learning. But the suspicious among us would say, what NGOs and agencies inform or have the ear of UNESCO Are their intentions pure and for the absolute advancement of the unique soulful human? How were the competencies arrived at? And how can they be generically applied to a world which could be viewed as compromising unique soulful human beings, notwithstanding the sovereignty of all states they purportedly apply to? So it's that UNESCO vibe, the teacher, the student frameworks, the competency frameworks, how were they arrived at, etc., etc. All of that, who was involved in the drawing up. And that plays into the fear of the risks that are.
It does. But I would like to say that, first of all, it's way above my pay grade, which being retired isn't the pay grade. The people who are normally brought in to write the competencies are those who would be considered, I believe, to be at the cutting edge of the practicality and the research level of what's happening globally. And indeed, looking at the names on, if we just take the UNESCO teacher and student competencies, one sees there, it's like reading the name of the 12 apostles. In many ways, the people that are there would be people who are at the cutting edge. Sure. That said, I would like to also say that there are an awful lot of people out there in the world who are doing a hell of a lot of work in this, and very often they're not asked for their opinion. But in UNESCO and the competencies, we are always asked. People are asked to give their feedback. So every human being has a right to have an agency in this. And you would hope that, like we spoke about when you asked the question of who's overseeing the ethical side of ensuring that this is within the meaningful, mindful, soulful capacity to engage with agentic AI and singularity in education. I believe myself that, and it is my, call it innocence, call it naivety, it is my belief that when I read the work of a lot of the people who are involved, whose names are on these documents, I feel very privileged and honored to know that these are people in whom I could trust my grandchildren and their future. But again, caveat, Teresa, ding, ding, warning, ding, ding, AI today is not the AI of yesterday, because it is exponentially, transformatively, transformationally, interdimensionally, space between spatially, changing at a level that we are as a human species incapable of keeping up with. The fact is that it does not care who Teresa is or Daithí is. It is, if we hit singularity, which we will, it will surpass the human capacity, and then will be AI writing, rewriting, recoding AI for the sake of binary, up, down, in, out, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, sweets, obesity, and it will do it in a manner in which all the human error that went into the coding could turn out to be
disastrous for humanity.
Biting our own tongues and going, Jesus, that's grand, lads. It's like someone saying, it's before, it's, we are our own most beautiful friend. But if we become our thoughts, oh man, we can be our own worst enemy. And I look at AI as, again, a tool.
Yes.
But if it hits singularity, it's a hammer, and everything is a nail. And we must now, if we're going to have agentic, which is there right now in business, big business, because it makes life so much easier administratively. And in big business, agentic AI, someone said, will replace jobs. Of course it will. But the person who knows how to use the AI will not be replaced by the agentic AI.
Coming back to your blog, how can you say, without proof, since agentic AI is supposedly only under construction as we speak, that agentic AI supports the development of the following key competencies: technological proficiency, critical thinking and ethics, and personalized learning journeys? This is mere rhetoric, luring the uninducted into their own undoing. I'm poking the bear here. How can you say without the proof? We haven't gathered the evidence yet.
Well, you see, the fact is it has. If you take, we spoke about this, if you take the work of Swellen, in 2019 and look in 2016, if you take the work of Selden and Abioide, if you take the work of Holmes in 2019 and Ben Johnson and McAfee and all of those, and even dare I say it, the work of that poor dope on Murchú and all the blogs that are writing out there right now, and so many others that are whose names you see, what you do is you pull together all of the information that is there right now, and what you do is you put all the ingredients to bake a cake. And the cake is what you're baking. You get the ingredients wrong, you still bake a cake, but it's there. So I stand over what's in that blog because based upon what I see being written and is written out there, even in the likes of, if you're in the likes of LinkedIn, and you look at Feng Chow, and you look at the work of the people like Lydia Krautz, even the work of my colleague Marco Neves in generative AI, Paulo Barriera. If you look at the words of Guido van Dijk in of what he's doing with multimodality in all forms of moving towards AI singularity, I'm as entitled as anyone else out there to say that. But I will put one piece on this. The meaningful, mindful, soulful Daithí always says, come on, human, wake up.
Yes, they without
wake up.
Without upskilling, it's passing them out.
Get out of the dream of going, it's like the sense, just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. I mean, Mary Poppins, just a spoonful of sugar 10 times a day will kill your liver and give you obesity. We're back into the same thing again. If we believe that a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, then that's how we look on the best way to get medicine down. If we think that AI is a grand little tool and no matter what happens is going to help us make our lives easier, then that's grand. But the fact is you have to look at the consequences, i.e., if I drop a stone into a lake, I see the ripples, and then all of a sudden the ripples stop. Am I correct? I'm not correct. Our eyes no longer see the ripples. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It is constant. And the ripples will continue. And AI, we left that bloody elephant out of the room 50 years ago. Teresa, people think this is new. 50 years ago. And the fact is that it is really only in the last maximum 36, really 24 on steroids, 12 months, that AI has now popped up in a big way because of everything that's happening globally and going, hello, ladies, gentlemen, he, she, they, we. Hello, my name is AI. And whether you like it or not, it's how it goes. And it is now inextricably entwined with, I would say, pretty much everything that walks, talks, flies, moves, directs, anything that is connected right now is there.
Agentic AI has gone to another level. Now, I quote you from your blog.
Please.
You said, in practice, agentic AI can understand context, set goals, reason and adapt, scale, and access. It's only as strong or as weak, as ethical or unethical as its programmer. I'll come back to that. What do you reckon?
We talked about this already.
Yes.
Of course it's there. It's absolutely there. It's as it gets momentum, it will become more in tune with all of the sense of that, of everything, of the goals, of putting it simply, the personalized, intelligent, educational journey in its widest sense of educo, to lead forward, of every human being, irrespective of who he, she, or they are or may not be, because it is non-judgmental. It is not there to... Someone said to me once, a child recently, I presented at the DEC 2024 conference about a specific cohort of students that are differently abled, that will be considered to be on the spectrum, that will be considered to be very challenging in schools. And I had the privilege under an incredible project we're running under the Greek Athena group right now, called AI number 4 edu, AI4edu.eu, where we use two tools called Teacher Mate and Study Buddy.
Yes.
And the students are in our Chomsky platform, where they are very much protected with their teachers, and they can speak to Study Buddy because it has been fed or trained with the information on, in Ireland, the SESE curriculum. Look it up, which is the Science, Education, Environmental Curriculum. And this also is Biology and History and Humanities. And the students can ask the questions of Study Buddy to give them the verbal response relevant to their personalized journey. And if I was to read out to you 25 sentences that were given by these students after the pilot and 25 sentences before the pilot, all I can say is this: before the pilot, the students could not, were unable to, were incapable of, in their own minds, to engage with any form of educational journey because it was the traditional model of how classes are taught. Even though the most beautiful way, their neurodiversity did not allow them to synchronize with it. But because they were exposed to the AI and AI for EDU under Chomsky, Study Buddy, and because the teachers could design for learning with TeacherMate, the students themselves significantly improved not only their self-esteem, but their capacity to engage with, learn in a neurodiverse but multi-diverse capacity to engage with their learning. And each student came back with powerful statements to say, and if I was to paraphrase, praise be God and pass the ammunition, because now they're actually able to utilize AI for their own personalized agentic journey so that they can be the person, the unique genius they were meant to be. And that's important, Teresa, not to acknowledge that.
It's about motivation as well. Are we presupposing that students will have the motivation and the solid wiring of the brain for independence in manipulating and benefiting from agentic AI?
You never presume anything. But one thing is certain, Gen Alpha are kind of going, hey, plug me in, baby. I mean, I can imagine 20 years' time, they go to the doctor and go, plug me in there.
Absolutely, you said it.
We talk about our cars. There's certain cars can break down the M50, and all of a sudden you make a phone call, and someone in a different country
get diagnostics
will pop into diagnostic and turn on the car. Someone steals your car, and it's a certain make or model. Someone in another country can shut down the engine, and we think, hey lads, there's no one watching. There's no one listening. Are we alone?
Well, if that's the car, it's okay. But if it's the human in the future, we're in trouble in terms of humanity.
Hello, Orwell. Hello, Orwell. Mark Colin Orson. Come in, Orson.
Now, you quote wide-ranging peer-reviewed papers offering varying opinions and cautions.
Yes.
How can we possibly reconcile the diversity of opinion that's coming through in those papers to arrive at an agreed perspective on everything?
I hope we never arrive at an agreed perspective of everything, because if we do, then we believe it's stalemate, because that's why hashtag AI debate, hashtag continue the AI debate, hashtag let's keep debating this. And we're going to throw out a nice little one out here. Teresa, you and I and a lovely group of panelists in May 2025 in what used to be called NUI Galway. We're going to go and we're going to have a massive symposium on the past, present, and future of AI agentic singularity, and we're going to have a massive symposium. So we're going to do a spoiler alert 6 months, 5 months in advance. We're telling people, get into the conferences, and we'll put them up there and we'll send them out and everything, because if we take a look at, is it the SDDE conference? Is that what we call it? In 2025 in Galway, in the University of Galway, we're going to have a massive symposium because we have been given the privilege of presenting at this for a couple of hours to actually bring this debate to anyone and everyone who wants to be part of it. But the day we all agree is the day I hope I've checked out of here, because that's going to be a dangerous day.
So for our listeners, ISDDE conference. Look it up. Very interesting.
ISDDE conference, Galway University, 2025 May.
Mm-hmm.
Come look for Daithí and Teresa and the panelists that are going to be there in the symposium.
Yeah. So the different ideas coming through in your papers, you have Selwyn's Caution 2019, Preserve the Relational. Looking at 2016, Personalisation Potential. Selden and Abidoy, 2018, Avoid Infantilization. Holmes et al., 2019, Embed Ethics and Responsibility. Everybody's chomping at a different angle on the whole thing. McAfee, Prepare for Societal Shifts. So basically, it's one thing getting involved now. It's another thing to start writing, start doing our research, start gathering the research, because that research that we gather now will inform where we're going in the future. Would you agree?
Yes, but the future is now. And that's the one thing with AI Singularity, that what we used to do in the past, you'd say the future. When you were young, you thought the future was, whoa, when everyone was small, to say, oh, I want to be 10, I want to be 11. And then when you're 50, you go, I want to be 10, I want to be 9, I want to be 8.
It's the wishful.
Yes.
But
all the research is being done and the various perspectives coming out, and everyone that we've mentioned and all the authors, and there's so many others there. I choose in many ways those that are most at the cutting edge of where we are right now. But we have to have this, because something that's very important, I believe, we need to make informed decisions.
That's it. Yeah.
An informed decision doesn't come from just looking at one perspective. It comes from looking at a myriad of perspectives. And that's the human capacity that AI does not have yet. AI can put this together and can summarize and can synthesize and can deliver, but the human being can energize, can exponentially, soulfully, meaningfully, mindfully connect with it and come up with something. Now,
extrapolate.
And listen to all those things, but the human capacity for creativity is something that I can't see any algorithm ever being able to fully, comprehensively, soulfully, meaningfully, mindfully emulate the capacity for human creativity. But remember that human creativity has also led to inhumanity, though.
Well, of course. Yeah, absolutely. And we see it. But in your blog, for the benefit of our listeners, you deal with the roles of educators, students, and education systems. And that it's important to get in there and read that blog so that you follow the threads of our engagement on these recordings. Now, so I put it to you that in the absence of leadership and strategic planning from the top down in the Department of Education, the designers of AI and agentic AI will have gone so far that we will be unable to reel the tool back in, or we will be unable to catch up. We don't want to reel it back in, but we will lose our agency.
That barn gate was kicked over a long time ago. That door is way too late to talk about. But I'd also, maybe I put it a different way. That also has to come from the bottom up. Because if you take a look at Gen Alpha, they're the ones who are way ahead when it comes. I was on a mode of public transport yesterday, and I decided I would do some ethnographic work, i.e. Daithí the human looking at other humans. And I would have to say that 90 to 95% of them, during a journey of 15 minutes, never took their eyes off the screen. They never looked up. And there was a person beside me. Now, I wasn't prying now, but the capacity to write texts with both their thumbs was at a level that I could not even comprehend. I went, your thumbs, when you were small, were for grabbing something. Their thumbs were working at such a level that I was talking about the physiotherapists of the future going to make a fortune on repetitive strain. I have never seen anything being tied, two hands at the one time. And I was going, there is no human contact here whatsoever. If I was an AI and I wanted to take over the human race, I'd be accessing all of these phones right now, sending out subliminal messages to them, so that the human brain, which is made up of 80% water, all of us, would actually be neurologically in the implants we talked about in the others. Those neuro implants could actually affect how people react, think, are in the world. And I was looking
That's the danger. That's the space. I don't want to go there.
I got off the transport and I went, oh my God.
So it takes me to the final question nicely. Does Agentic EdTech not simply take the human, particularly Gen Alpha, those born since 2010, one step closer to transhumanism, the full integration of technology to the biological, spiritual, and soulful human?
The Inquisition. You want to bring me into the Inquisition now and crucify me, don't you? That's what you want to do. You do.
I reckon we're there. We're going there.
My answer is this: spoonful of sugar, the sweet, and the diabetes. So I will answer with the following. If the human being is happy at this moment to surrender himself, herself, or themselves to what's happening in AI, agentic singularity, then the answer to your question is absolutely 100%. They're on the highway to hell.
Yeah.
Dun, dun.
Yeah.
But if the meaningful, mindful, soulful human being is willing to self-regulate, reflect, set goals, and look at this, then the answer is no. But who's paying the piper?
Take yourself back onto that bus or that train you were on the other day with all the heads in the screens. How willing are we to surrender?
Well, when the babies were in, there were two buggies on that. The babies were on screens. That's what really hurt me. And I mean hurt in the sense of it hurt the human essence within me. To think that the baby's parenting at that time, and I'm not judging the parents, by the way, but the baby's parenting was being done in both cases by two screens. Now, it may have been to distract them from all the people because it was fairly packed. But the fact is that
it does have its effect on the forming brain. I was talking to a person recently who had been on a bus in a city and said, you will always know when the granny has the kids. There's no strain.
Yeah,
chat is going on, you know? But the key transhumanist infiltration mechanisms, cognitive reconfiguration, psychological conditioning, spiritual deconstruction, biological interface preparation. That's where I, as a traditionalist, don't want to go.
Well,
there's a violence in it.
Any human being that votes for that, because of the time of year we're in right now, is like a turkey going, gobble, 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 hello, Christmas. Yeah. Hey, ho, 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 ho.
Would you say to what end then? Economic restructuring, technological governance, consciousness modification, power consolidation. The deepest, most profound end, I believe, is the systematic deconstruction of human agency, spiritual autonomy, and individual consciousness. That, to my mind, is not progress. It's carefully engineered technological coup against the fundamental essence of human potential. The end game is nothing less than the complete reimagining of what it means to be human.
And to my honourable lady in THC, I would like to point out that the opposite is also true. And on that point, we challenge the listeners to once again come and, well, today we locked horns, we locked tusks with a second elephant in the room because Teresa, as the elephant with the big tusk, came out today hitting hard. So therefore, this is something that we need to wake up to very, very much if we're not already there. And we would challenge everyone listening to this to please put in your comments. Please come and be part of this. Please accept our challenge to come on to the podcast and give your opinion on this, because my answer is this. Yin is yang and yang is yin, and up is down and down is up. Depending on which planet you're on or which space between spaces, everything that's real is surreal or unreal. And every option is a Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, by us making the choices and having the options to do so.
But the choices must be informed, so therefore wake up and educate yourselves. It is not something that's out there, as I said in my analysis of blog 6. It is something that you must get attuned to, educate yourselves on, and be informed and make informed decisions.
Because if and when singularity comes, and it will, then that decision will be made for us.
Absolutely. So we wish all our listeners a wonderful festival season. And what we will do is move on to blog 8 in the new year, among other speakers who will be coming on to speak on other aspects of the handshake. But Teresa still maintains the handshake cannot be replaced.
Well, Nolicone, Feliz Navidad, Joyeux Noel, have a wonderful Christmas in so many other languages we would probably say. And to everyone out there, look at what I have behind, because you're going to love this one. Watch, 1, 2, magic. Ta-da! Good. Everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.